Thanks, Tracy. It's great being with you today. The last time we as a group were asked to speak, we arrived a few minutes early, and the meeting coordinator, we said to them, there were only like 15 people in the room, and they were anticipating 100. And we said, well, did you tell them we were going to speak? And the meeting coordinator said, no, but I guess the word got out. So I'm glad the word didn't get out, and you all came out on this cold morning to hear. A lot of my comments are probably going to be repetitious of what Tracy said, but I think some of them you really need to think about. First of all, listing inventory. When you look at MIBOR 2 years ago, there were about 16,000 homes for sale in MIBOR. Right now there's about 10,000. The inventory or the absorption had been about a 10, 11, 12 month supply the last couple of years. It's down to a 6.2 month supply right now. And as all of you know, when the inventory gets between a 4 and 6 month supply, it's considered a balanced market. We haven't seen a balanced market since 2006. So there's going to be a change in mentality in our market, and that buyers are not going to be able to think they can beat up on sellers as they have, and you're going to see sellers getting more bullish on their prices. I'm predicting that new construction this year, along the same lines with Tracy, I think you're going to see new construction in Central Indiana up 20%. The big challenge is the inventory of ground. As all of you know, when the correction started, banks pulled out of lending to developers. So what's occurred the last 4 or 5 years, that inventory of lots has been drawn down. Several years ago, there were 15,000 new homes built in Central Indiana, and in the last couple of years, there's been less than 3,000. So I think you're going to see that pop back. I think you're going to see another phenomenon this year. You're going to see first-time home buyers get back in the market. Historically, 35% of the buyers in the market are first-time home buyers. This past couple of years, it's been as low as 15%. And we all know what first-time home buyers did the last few years. They moved back in with mom and dad. They're coming out now. So I think that's going to be something that you're going to see. I think financing, as Tracy said, is still going to be tough. There is a gentleman that was named to the head of one of the new agencies under the Dodd-Frank bill. His name is Edward DeMarco. And Mr. DeMarco has taken a very strict interpretation of the lending regulations. Now, when he was put in that position, he was put in as the acting head of that position. There's a lot of people in Washington that say he will not be reappointed. And I would encourage you to watch the news. If you see his name in the news and he doesn't get reappointed, chances are they're going to put someone in there with a little more liberal attitude toward financing. And I don't think we'll ever get back to where, well, I won't say ever, but I don't think in the short term we'll get back to where we were in 2005 and 2006. But if Mr. DeMarco is not reconfirmed, I think you'll see financing get easier. Transactions are still going to be difficult. Now, a lot of you probably think that's bad news. I would say to you, I think that's good news. And the reason it's good news is if transactions get easy, real estate brokers can be disintermediated from the transaction. If they're difficult, they know they can't do it without you. They need a professional. And all of you know how difficult transactions are. I think they're going to stay difficult. I think the stock market, and if you followed it the last week or so, it's gone up dramatically. I think you're going to continue to see that. I think you're going to see the stock market go over 15,000 this year. Now, the good news of that is the regained wealth that the American public has. If they regain their wealth, they're going to feel better about investing in real estate. As you know, when that market crashed in 2008 and it went down to 6,800, people were running for cover and people weren't spending any money for anything. Well, now that it's coming back, we've got this renewed sense of wealth. I think that this year we're going to see sales increase 20%. And I think you're going to see the average sale price go up 10%. That's on top of a 16% increase in sales this year. So we are going to be getting close to where we were at the peak of the market a couple of years ago. So I am very optimistic. You know, as Tracy said, years ago when we would speak at these events, we'd spend most of the night up thinking, what are we going to say that's positive? I mean, there was always a storm cloud on the horizon, and I just don't see that this year. I think we're in for some good times. Some good news for you about Hamilton County. In Building Indiana magazine, this came out about a week ago. In the next 12 years, they're saying that Hamilton County's population will grow 254,000 people. That's 22% of the growth in the state of Indiana. So for those of you that are going to be around in 2025, you're going to see this rise in population, which certainly is a positive for each of you. One wish that I have for all of you is that I wish real estate transactions would be more civil and agents would treat each other with more respect. In the late 90s, when agency law came into effect, I think some people took agency law as a way to say, okay, agents, we can put boxing gloves on and duke it out. And all of you know, you've had wonderful people that you've had cross deals with. You've had other people that you'd rather eat a dead rat than have really deal with. And I would say to you, our role is to bring about the meeting of the minds of the buyers and the sellers, and not to incite anger in their minds and make the deal tougher. That would be my wish for each of you. The last thought I'd give you is tough times don't last. Tough people do. You're all to be congratulated. Tracy and I were talking before the meeting started, and we said, you know, the last 3 or 4 years, how many of you started in the last 3 or 4 years? You know, I tell you, I take my hat off to you, because it hasn't been easy and it hasn't been fun, but the time of your life's coming. If we get back to the new normal, I think you're going to, and as you've weathered this storm, you're going to be fine. So tough people do last. Kevin, it's all yours.